Hi, I'm astrologer Penny Dix, and welcome to my midweek Astro Witter. I'm going to look at the chart of Donald Trump today because, well, there's some quite interesting stuff going on in his chart. And I just felt drawn to talk about it because just before I came on to do this video, I saw that Ukraine had actually accepted the peace plan. Now I'm just going on to my news feed now to just check. And it says Ukraine agrees to the essence of US peace plan. But Zelensky and Trump have got to hash out the details. All right, I feel a bit more comfortable now because what was happening was that I was just... Because this peace plan says about Russia being able to keep the territory it's already gained, but also to be given territory it hasn't or doesn't occupy, I just find that extraordinary because, well, two reasons. And this is connected with the astrology, and you know what I'm like. You'll see how it will all unfold. But because if you let one country bully another country and the rest of the countries on the planet, I'm going to keep this ground, but I'm also going to take that bit that I haven't got yet. Oh, okay, you can have it. What message is that giving the rest of the world and despot countries? Oh, we can just walk in. We can take what we want. Well, no. Now, I was listening to the lovely astrologer Steve Judd talking to, and I've forgotten her surname, but Amanda in a video on Astrology Hub earlier today. And he was talking about how his hope for and his sense of in the future a planet with no boundaries, with no borders. I think boundaries are a bit different, but borders. And certainly as a human living on planet Earth, I think a planet with no borders has to be the utopian ideal we strive for. But can man or woman actually achieve a state of consciousness where they can see the benefits of no borders? So that's why when I heard this news flash about Ukraine agreeing to the peace plan, I was a little bit perturbed. So that made me dig out Donald Trump's chart. And what's interesting, and I'm looking at the chart of today, so this is really what has unfolded since this agreement was touted. Uranus at 29 degrees retrograde of Taurus squares his ascendant of 29 degrees Leo. This man is going to be doing something shocking, revolutionary, and unexpected once more in the public domain. Now, let me see when it was last at 29 degrees, because I think that will tell us a lot. Well, isn't that interesting? So it was last at 29 degrees from the middle of June 2025 till about the 8th of July 2025. Now, I think that's very interesting because whatever it is that came out then, and I can't remember, and if anyone wants to let me know in the chat, which means everybody else will know what was happening at the end of June, beginning of July, with regard to perhaps Ukraine and Trump and Zelensky. Now, What's interesting is, of course, this is not the last time that Uranus will be at 29 degrees, because then it will retrograde as far as 27 degrees. And then it goes direct on February the 4th. And I'm just looking for when it's going to be at 29 degrees again. And then from, the 7th of April until the 27th of April, it will be at 29 degrees of Taurus again, but direct. Now, the reason this is important is because that third one that we get in April, which is a interesting month astrologically, there's a lot going on in April, but that third hit is somehow going to be connected to, related to whatever started in July, whatever is unfolding now, and how that's going to resolve itself will become apparent in April. Now, that somehow is what is going to be putting Trump in a surprising position on the public arena. Is this good or bad? I don't know. Could be lots of things. It may be to do with the peace plan. It may be to do with lots of other things that have yet to be revealed. The e-files, for example. And when I've come off, I will try and do a little bit of research to see what was happening in July. And I got so overexcited doing this, and I've started recording it, so I'm not going to go and research it now. But because I get so I kind of like, I've got to do it now. But anyway, because I'm on a roll. So if I look at what else is happening in Trump's chart. Now, transiting Mars is coming up to his natal moon in the 4th house. It's Sagittarius. And my feeling is that he will... my feeling is that something is going to occur that's going to slow him down and keep him at home. And it's opposite, interestingly, his natal Uranus. In fact, he's virtually got that natal transiting Mars opposite his natal Uranus now. Oh, this next week is going to be a very, very interesting week on the world stage, where our orange man is concerned. That's for sure. I think what's also interesting is that Pluto is now well and truly established in his 6th house, in Aquarius, health matters, amongst other things, routine. His routine is going to be changing. I feel or sense that he's coming up. It's a wide orb, but he's coming up to his Pluto opposition. That's a big deal for everyone, because we all get it in our late 80s. And let me just have a look and see when it gets within a good orb of it. Well, really, next year, May and June, it'll be an orb of being opposite his Pluto, and it's 12th, 6th house, health matters, psychological, being affected psychologically by what's going on. So we could see health issues coming up, and then it will be back in orb at the beginning of 2027. and it won't actually be in opposition. He won't actually have the opposition. I'm just skimming ahead. If he's still with us, which is quite tough with this Pluto. I mean, I'm not wishing him, gone, but I'm just saying what it's like. It's quite a tough opposition, and it won't really. So 2029, 2030. 2030, he'll have his opposition. So that is actually another, isn't it, 5 years? So, okay, so he'll be 83, 84. So if he manages to, if he was my client, I would be advising him to take extra special care of his health. I would say take advantage of rest. Don't push yourself too hard. Try and enjoy these senior years, is what I would be saying to him. I also think this man is going to go through a kind of spiritual awakening. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure, but he's got Saturn, that Saturn and Neptune conjunction in Aries will be in his 8th house. And I just see that as a spiritual awakening for him. And I'm just not sure that it could take him too far down the, I'm called by the divine, and it takes it too extreme. So I think he has to be mindful of that. But unless that Pluto trips him up, then Uranus in his 10th house, he's going to be around. I think his tricky time is the next 9 months to a year. If he gets past that, then I think he will be doing quite well. In all seriousness, I think he'll actually be doing quite well. So I just wanted to look at that because I just thought it was an interesting correlation of the energies. And I just want to tell you also what is happening for the rest of this week in our Astro Witter, because first of all, Saturn's going direct in Pisces on the 28th, which is great because it's not going to go retrograde in Pisces anymore. And I think that's just going to really speed up the energies. And also Mercury, of course, thank goodness our planet of communication is going direct in Scorpio on the 29th. And by about the 15th of December, we'll be out of shadow back in Sagittarius. It goes back into Sagittarius on I think it's the 11th, which is interestingly the day Neptune goes direct in Pisces. So then we've got on the 30th of November, Venus enters Sagittarius. Now this is really lovely energy because this is how we can really enjoy the holiday season. To have Venus in Sagittarius, which is a fun sign, it's a sign that wants to be spontaneous, to play, to travel, to just step out into into new horizons. And I think we're going to notice there's going to be freedom of speech. There's certainly going to be freedom of speech. We're going to be feeling not quite so or not trying to control everything so much. I think we're going to be much more, there and doing stuff. We're more authentic. I think truth becomes non-negotiable with Venus in Sagittarius. And we might find that we do get some information that comes out whilst Venus is in Sagittarius. We might find this comes out from with the E-files is what I was going to say. And so it's a nice energy to have as we head towards the holiday season around Christmas, except that on Christmas Day, Venus moves into Capricorn, which perhaps is a little bit dour and a bit, it's like we're all sitting around the table going, yay, I'm really happy. Happy Christmas, it's lovely. Thinking, oh God, I'm stuffed. Oh, can't I just go and sit down and go to sleep? So it's a little bit, Venus in Capricorn on the first day, on Christmas Day, is perhaps a little bit flat. So perhaps not quite so what we want. But on the whole, it's a nice transit. So that's what I wanted to say for my midweek Astro Witter. As I say, I wanted to talk about just looking at Trump's chart, because I think it'd be very interesting to see what comes out around now. I mean, there probably was stuff going on around Ukraine in the end of June, beginning of July. Well, I mean, it's been going on for months, years. And that we see that resolution of things round about the beginning of April. I think that's quite interesting. So now, I don't have a word for the day, but I do have another poem, because I'm quite enjoying this. I hope you are. Well, if you're not, you're going to turn off now. So if you're about to turn off, please like, comment and subscribe. And thank you so much for joining me, because I'm now going to read you another poem by Rainer Maria Rilke, because this one to me fits in with borders, boundaries. So I'm thinking about Saturn going direct. I'm thinking about Neptune going direct and Mercury going direct, and the energy around the potential of the Ukraine war peace plan, which is still perhaps in its chrysalis stages. So here we go. All of you undisturbed cities, haven't you ever longed for the enemy? I'd like to see you besieged by him for 10 endless and ground-shaking years, until you were desperate and mad with suffering. Finally, in hunger, you would feel his weight. He lies outside the walls like a countryside, and he knows very well how to endure longer than the ones he comes to visit. Climb up on your roofs and look out. His camp is there, and his morale doesn't falter, and his numbers do not decrease. He will not grow weaker, and he sends no one into the city to threaten or promise, and no one to negotiate. He is the one who breaks down the walls. And when he works in silence. I think that profoundly describes being on the receiving end of invasion or impending invasion, and what people in war-torn areas are experiencing all the time. And there's something, I think, here about the need for faith and for endurance. And how do you outwit the person who is outside the walls? I don't have an answer. And It's a really difficult one. What we need to do is work towards a society where people don't want to invade your space, where we respect each other's space, where we respect each other's boundaries. Then we can have open borders. So maybe a rather unusual astro-witter, but nevertheless a bit of a witter and a bit of an astro-witter. And thank you so much for joining me. Please remember, like, comment and subscribe if you're still here. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for your support. Bye for now. Bye.